Most men who are losing themselves to pleasure do not know it is happening. That is the specific nature of the problem. It does not announce itself as destruction, it announces itself as relief, as reward, as the completely reasonable return on a life that demands a great deal from you. John Vianney watched this operating in men for over 40 years. And what he found underneath the pursuit was not what most of those men would have named as their problem if you had asked them directly. When Vianney arrived in Ars in 1818, he did not find monsters or criminals. He found regular men. Men who were tired, looking for a break, and slowly hollowing themselves out without realizing it. Drinking, idleness. Avoiding anything that required sustained effort or genuine discomfort. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that would make anyone look twice. Just a steady, habitual preference for whatever felt good right now over anything that required something from them. Francis Trochu documented in his biography of Vianney that this pattern was so consistent across the men of that parish that Vianney identified it almost immediately as the primary thing he was dealing with, not open sin in the obvious sense. Just men who had quietly organized their entire interior lives around comfort, and that quiet organization was producing damage that none of them could see coming. What Vianney observed in those men was a specific interior progression. It begins as relief. Life is genuinely hard. Pressure is real, and pleasure offers a genuine release from that pressure. That first stage feels completely reasonable, and in many cases it is reasonable. The Catechism of the Catholic Church is clear in its treatment of temperance that created pleasures are genuine goods, ordered by God toward legitimate human refreshment. Vianney was not against pleasure, he was against what happens when relief becomes the goal. When a man stops pursuing genuine good and starts organizing his whole life around avoiding discomfort. When the thing that once gave him a break from the demands of real living starts giving him a break from real living itself. That is the line. And most men cross it so gradually they never notice it happening. Saint Augustine described the same progression in his Confessions with an honesty that has made that book genuinely useful for 16 centuries. He wrote that what he had been chasing in pleasure was not pleasure exactly, it was rest, genuine rest. And pleasure kept promising that rest and kept failing to deliver it, because the rest he actually needed was something no created pleasure was built to provide. But here is what Augustine identified that most men never do. The seeking itself was training him. Every time he turned toward pleasure for rest, he was teaching his soul to look for satisfaction in something constitutionally incapable of providing it. And that training, repeated over years, quietly reduced his capacity for the kind of interior stillness where genuine satisfaction is actually found. Vianney watched this same training happening in real men in real time, and he was not gentle about naming it. His preserved sermons on pleasure contain something most treatments of this subject avoid because it is uncomfortable. Vianney taught that the specific damage pleasure-seeking does to a man is not primarily about the obvious moral failures. It is about what it slowly takes from him. His ability to be genuinely present to his family without restlessness crawling under his skin. His ability to sit with something difficult long enough for it to produce something real. His ability to pray with enough interior stillness that it becomes actual encounter rather than just another form of consumption. Pleasure-seeking does not simply add a negative to a man's life, it subtracts the interior resources his life depends on, slowly, quietly, and the man experiencing it attributes the growing emptiness to everything except the actual cause. Ecclesiastes addresses this with a directness that Vianney returned to in his pastoral teaching, because it is the most honest account in Scripture of what a man finds at the end of serious pleasure-seeking. The writer pursued pleasure, wealth, achievement, and every form of worldly satisfaction with more resources and more thoroughness than any ordinary person could manage. And he arrived at one conclusion: vanity of vanities, not a moral warning from outside. An interior report from someone who completed the experiment and recorded exactly what he found. Vianney used this text not as a warning about what might happen, but as a description of what consistently does happen. The experiment always produces the same result. The man who has organized his life around pleasure finds at some point that pleasure has stopped delivering what it originally promised, and that he has, in the process of chasing it, allowed the interior capacities that genuine satisfaction requires to quietly disappear. But here is where Vianney's approach becomes something more than diagnosis. He did not leave men staring at the damage. He was precise about what the alternative actually looked like, and it was not the grim, joyless austerity that most people picture when a 19th century French priest starts talking about pleasure. He taught in multiple documented sermons that the soul genuinely oriented toward God does not experience less joy, it experiences more, and more reliably, because it has found joy in something that does not withdraw the morning after. He described the saints as the genuinely happy people, not because they had given up on satisfaction, but because they had actually found it. And he told his parishioners, with a directness documented in Trochu's biography, that what they were seeking in pleasure was not wrong. The desire for genuine joy, genuine rest, genuine satisfaction was placed in them by God and pointed towards something real. The problem was not the desire. It was the address they kept giving it. This is the thing most men never consider. Vianney was not asking them to want less. He was telling them they had been settling, that the pleasure they had been organizing their lives around was a substitute for something considerably more satisfying that they had never actually tried. The man who has spent years chasing immediate comfort has not been enjoying life more fully. He has been consuming a replacement for life, while the actual thing remained available and untouched. And recognizing that, Vianney consistently taught, was not the beginning of deprivation. It was the beginning of finally finding what the pleasure had been promising and failing to deliver all along. Most spaces won't engage this honestly because it cuts too close to how most people are actually living. If this reached something real, share that in the comments. A like helps this find someone at exactly the point where this needs to land. And if you want to support this work and keep it going, channel membership is open, or you can find channel gear on the shelf below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.